that true?
That's not public knowledge yet.
You're recording.
Okay, call this meeting to order. Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, number 3, presentation of the summer rec update. Marcus Benner.
Am I doing everything now or just summer rec? I know we talked about other rec stuff and the playground. Is that
Talk about everything.
everything? Okay. I'll start with summer rec. We had a great summer. We had 60 unique campers. Our max is 45 per week. But we had some kids come for a few weeks, so it gives room for others. So we had 60 total. We had 59 unique campers last year, so we were up one, but we had a lot more. We had almost every week this year was full. The first couple weeks we had a few spots, and the last 5 weeks were completely full. Last year we only filled the last couple weeks. It just means that more kids this year were with us the full 7 weeks and taking up those spots. It allowed less room for the extras to come in. I had 9 employees, 3 leaders, and 6 counselors. They all did a fantastic job. I had 0 complaints. We had some great field trips. We went on Tuesdays. We'd go to local beaches. I think Jefferson we got rained out, but it was on the list. Damascotta Lake, Lake St. George a couple times. Where else? Belfast Park. Places like that, close, within 30 minutes. Pemaquid, went down there. And then on Thursdays were our bigger trips. We did Sammy's, Aquaboggin, Funtown, Maine Wildlife Park, Monkey See, Monkey Do, Sea Dogs Game, and Urban Air. And those all went great. We brought back as many kids as we left with. Was the goal. And so, yeah, I have no complaints. It really went well. As you guys know, we redid the scholarship program this year, which allowed us to do a lot more. So on those couple days where we had we got rained out of the beach, I was able to take the kids to Flagship and fill that day with a movie. Some Flagship treated us very well. But in the past, I would just cancel it and they would stay at the gym. And so they'd be at the gym 4 days that week instead of 3. And that's a lot on the counselors and the staff. You have 45 kids in that small gym for 7 weeks. It gets old quick. So redoing that scholarship thing was huge. We gave away $4,704 in scholarships, which was down from $9,000 last year to $9,255. Part of that, I think, was the updated application that we made them go through to kind of help keep things more accountable. And then so not only that number being smaller, but then that being reimbursed, it allowed us to go from what was a $6,000 deficit last year of that program to a $3,824 profit. So that helps tremendously. The next big program we have coming up is our senior bus trip. I've had the seniors in the past ask to go to Greenville, that they want to do the Katahdin boat cruise. We've never been able to get really a big discount from them, and usually our entire budget goes towards the bus, so being able to put them on a boat on top of that, it doesn't work. There's not enough money there. But where I was able to not only not lose money from summer rec, but make a little bit, I was able to do that this year, and we filled our bus last week. So we got 3 weeks until the trip, and it's already full. So really, really happy about that it allowed us to do a little more for them. And all our programs are kind of blossoming. You want me to go through the rest of them, or?
I think you should. You're here. It's your
here?
10 minutes.
Yeah. So, like I said, senior bus trip's going to Greenville. It's going to be October 14th. And then we're working with Katahdin Cruises. There's going to be a 2-hour tour of Moosehead Lake on a riverboat, and then we'll have a meal on the boat, and then the bus will bring us back to Waldoboro after. Safe Harbor Church has been gracious enough to let us use their parking lot again, so that's where the meeting spot will be. People can leave their cars there, and we'll ride up to Greenville for the day. Co-ed softball is another big program we have going on in the fall. Our playoffs are this weekend. We had 17 teams this year, which was a league record. Last couple of years we've had 15. And I did look back through old records. I think Kyle had a year where he had like 13, but when I took over, we were down to 8. So I'm really happy that that bounced back. I know the Camden League has bounced up quite a bit in their numbers as well. So I think softball, for some reason, is just on the boom around here. But it's great to see that many teams. It's like right around 250 players, I think, playing in that league. So that's a big help. Pickleball's been picking back up. We had our best year by far. We ran it through the summer, which we've never done, but we never had the numbers to do it. Usually come May, June, numbers would drop off. So this year we had the numbers, so we kept it going. And numbers did drop off through the summer. We had some days where we didn't have anybody signed up, so we canceled. But for the most part, if people wanted to play, we were there. And now that it's fall, we've had a couple days of brisk mornings, and people are coming back. We had 10 this morning, which was good. In the height of the winter last year, we were averaging like 20 to 24 players. So hoping to get back up to that this winter.
Where is this?
We host that at the Baptist Church behind Moody's, the First Baptist. So we've been doing that since I think 2018 or so. Obviously, we had a few years in the middle there where we didn't do it, but it's mostly senior citizens, but it's open to any adults. And we can't usually I use the schools for a lot of that stuff, but we can't do, it's from 9 to 11 in the morning. Obviously school's in session, so the church has allowed us to use their gym for years now. They've been great hosts, and we have three pickleball courts up there, and they pay $5 a session to play. So it's been a great another added income for the department, and a good program for another adult program to add. I know when people think rec departments, they think a lot of youth sports, but we've really added a lot for the adults and seniors the last few years. So hoping those numbers, again, I'm sure they'll come back once the weather cools off. They like to play outside when the weather's nice. Youth soccer started up this last Saturday. We have 105 kids playing this year from K through 6. Last year we had 108, so it's right in the ballpark. Anywhere from 100 to 120 is kind of where I expect it to fall. So we have 58 kids in the kindergarten through 2nd grade program. That's always our biggest. I wish I could always keep those kids all the way through 6th grade, but never happens. We have 25 kids in 3rd and 4th grade and 22 in 5th and 6th. Makes up our 105. The kindergarten 1st and 2nd, they just play on Saturday mornings at A.D. Gray. It's just from 9 to 10. They work on skills. They play some small-sided games. It's a good time. The 3rd, 4th gets a little more involved. They play either like a Tuesday or a Thursday night, and then on Saturdays, and then they might have a practice a week. And they'll play against not only the other Waldoboro team, but also the Warren teams. And then when they get in 5th and 6th grade, it's Monday or Wednesday and Saturdays, and same thing, maybe a practice a week. But they play in the Midcoast League, which stretches from us up to St. George and Rockport and everywhere in between. So Warren, Thomaston, Cushing, all have teams. Rockland. So that's a fun league. At the end of the season, we do a play day at the pitch. They invite us all in. We get I guess we have like 11 teams this year, something like that, and we'll all get there for a little round robin and some pizza and fun. So it's a good program. Something new this year, we're working with Colette Tours on a trip to Ireland. We had our informational meeting last night. Andrew from Colette came down and gave all the information from the trip. We had 4 prospective travelers come. I had talked to 3 of them, I believe. So to have a 4th was great. Seems like they're all pretty interested in going. So that would be pretty good numbers for our first trip of that magnitude. There's no minimum if we send 1 or we send 10. Doesn't seem to be any downside to us. It's just something we can offer. So we will be looking at doing some other ones in the future. They have over 170 tours all over the world.
Italy.
Italy. Yeah.
Italy.
They gave me a catalog. It's like this thick. They go everywhere.
Do they do that with municipalities, other rec departments?
Yeah.
And you're getting some type of discount, I guess I could say?
There's a kickback to the department. So we get a 10% kickback for every person that signs up
Nice.
through us, and it's
You can't beat the price.
Well, I've seen that advertised,
Yeah.
and when first time I started advertising, someone's hacked into the,
yeah, yeah, it's something different.
but that's the,
Yeah, I know.
anyone
I know
else around here
Belfast,
doing it? You said Belfast?
Belfast has done some trips. I wasn't able to. They're really hard to get in touch with up there. I've tried calling them.
Because they're always busy doing stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
And then it's not the rec department, but there's like a senior citizen group in Brunswick. I talked to them. They use Colette, the same company, and they had nothing but great things to say about them. Their seniors love the trips, and it's not just for seniors; it's for anybody. But that it's not a cheap.
Nice anniversary trip.
It's not a cheap trip, so. It's it depends whether you sign up by yourself or like a double. So yeah, like a husband and wife, they can share a room. It makes it cheaper per person. If you go by yourself, it's right around $5,000, and if you go as a couple, it's more like $4,000 a person.
Typical.
So
Include the airfares?
including
That's
including
not-
a ride from Waldoboro.
Really?
They will pick you up in Waldoboro, take you to Logan, put you on a plane, send you to Ireland. Once you get there, you meet your tour manager. They give you a guided 10-day tour of Ireland with 13 meals included and some options for some other stuff. One of them was like a medieval museum that you could sign up for. One of them was a Guinness factory tour. There was all kinds of stuff.
So when the Italy trip comes, we're closing the town office for 10 days because everybody's going.
So, but no, it was great. And if we send 4 people at $4,000 a piece, that's going to be a $1,600 kickback to the department, and that will allow us to do more stuff.
Good.
Add on to the senior trip every other year.
They need a chaperone?
Right? I tried.
Where are you gonna advertise this?
Huh?
Where do you advertise
I've
this?
advertised it through our Facebook. I don't know if I sent it to the paper or not. I believe I sent it to the paper when I first got it. I'm sure it's not running anymore. But
It is interesting
it's on our
because
website.
what I was told from somebody who has done these trips, I'm not through Colette before, is that when you finally get the big enough kickback, that's how the chaperone goes.
Yeah.
So there was always a fight in the office to figure out who the chaperone would be. So he would draw names out of a hat, and that would be, you'd get a free trip to, the chaperone got a free trip to
Right. So.
wherever they were going.
Yeah, we'll see if we ever get there, but it should be fun. It's like I said, it's 100% fully guided tour, and they offer an insurance. I think the prices I gave included that, but it's like $450 for the insurance, but you can cancel up to the day before for a full refund. So it's pretty. It seems like they take care of you. We'll see. I'll definitely talk to our travelers when they get back to see how they liked it. And
When do they leave?
it's May 3rd through the 12th of 2024.
And there's still time to sign up.
November 4th is the deadline to sign up. You can sign up after that, but the prices aren't guaranteed because they've held so many spots. How it works, there's no minimum for us because how it works is they saved us 10 spots, but then they're when they get over there, it's going to be a group of like 40. They might be from Los Angeles, Florida, who knows, but they've booked this trip from all over, and they all meet at the same place, and that's how they fill their bus and make their money. But there's no minimum or risk for us. So I believe they held us 10 spots, but we weren't required to fill them. So to send 4, I didn't know if we'd get one. It's not a cheap thing. But it does seem, what little bit I've researched, it's hassle free. Like I don't know if you could book a trip on your own to Ireland cheaper. With airfare and everything. They stay in 4-star hotels the entire time they're there. Guided tour. It seems like a pretty hassle.
Yeah, all the legwork's done for you, just show up with your credit card.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's something different, but interesting. So that's kind of the big last fall one. After that, we'll be moving into winter stuff. But that's what's been happening with the rec. Playground?
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to the Children's Museum about doing visits to them, or is it not something that makes sense given the group you're working with?
Which children's museum?
Portland?
Sorry?
Portland?
No. Rockland. Is it Rockland? Is it-
Rockland has the Farnsworth Museum.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where that is, yeah. It's down by the water, near the railroad tracks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just asking.
Yeah, no, I hadn't, but I'm open to, we typically do the same trips every year for the summer camp, but it's always
The
looking for some
Alma,
different stuff.
Wiscasset, Waterville Railway.
Yep.
Would be worth a trip.
Okay. We used to do the Wiscasset Railway when we only did the 9 to 1, but now that we do the whole
The
day.
Wiscasset, yeah,
Or
well,
not Wiscasset, Booth Bay.
Booth Bay, but the Wiscasset one's a little longer. They have a big pavilion. They could have lunch there.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking as a grandmother that
Yeah.
kids
And
love it.
you know, as long as we keep our scholarship stuff the same and things continue in this direction, we might be able to add some field trips here or there, some smaller ones. The problem with the bigger ones is the money. Like, we took the kids to Funtown for the day, and it's a $3,000 day by the time I pay staff, busing, and to get into the park. It's a lot, but it comes right out of their registration fees and all that, so it's covered, and it's the draw. The kids see that, like, oh, I want to, the kids you get that don't sign up for all 7 weeks, they always want to sign up for weeks 2, 3, and 7, because those are Aquabog and Funtown and Urban Air. Those are the ones they want, and so those weeks fill faster than any other. But I would love to get to the point where we just fill with kids that are there all 7 weeks, make my life a lot easier. But we'll see.
So, so when you went from that year where you had the deficit to
Yeah.
this year when you had a surplus,
Mhm.
what was the dynamic there? Were we giving scholarships away where we shouldn't have been?
Nope.
Were there just too
They-
many?
So they just were eaten. So I have the numbers. So this year our profit from camp before any costs came out was $44,220, and that's up from $26,046 last year. So that's like
That's like a surplus.
that's the
Not a profit.
that's the
That's
gross. That's the
gross.
gross.
That's
not
the gross.
gross.
That's
Not
the
that's
gross.
the gross.
That's a gross.
Yeah, it cost $40,396 to run the camp.
Okay.
So that's where the 3,000 something came out. But you can see 26,000 last year, 44,000 this year. Why? We had almost as many campers. The price did go up, but where's the difference there?
So,
And it's in the scholarships. We gave away $9,255 in scholarships last year that came directly out of that profit. Where the scholarships were reimbursed this year through the other account, that number, that 4,704 gets added in, and that's, so instead of the 26, it goes up to the 44.
so what account reimbursed it?
It was the Philbrook
We
fund.
went through
Okay.
remember we used the Philbrook Fund.
Yeah. So if you look at last year's was $26,046. If I add the 9,255 that I ate in scholarships, it would have went up to 35,301. And so that's a lot closer. When I was looking at it, I was like, why are those so different? And then I realized it was the scholarships, and that's how we've always done it. When Kyle ran the department, yes, it was only a 9 to 1 camp, and it was only $25 a week, and that program always lost money, but we make money through our other programs, and it always balanced out at the end of the year.
Yep.
When we went to the full day, it got a lot riskier. We added the scholarship application, and there were some requirements, but for the most part, if people asked for help, they got it. And it got a lot riskier because it was a lot more money we were giving away. And that's what happened with the 9,000. And that's why Julie and I sat down and said, something needs to change. We came up with the idea of the Philbrook Fund thing, and
We ran all the requests through the Community Navigator program.
right. And so not only did we able to help them with the scholarships, but it came back to the rec department so that it didn't put me in such a hole so that I can offer more.
And it also gave Karen Ann the opportunity to meet with families who might need resources that they didn't even realize were available.
So when we originally talked, the plan was to not give away more than 50%. And I know that there was more, in those conversations, there was more given away based on the need through working with Karen Ann. So it really worked out great for everybody.
That's
There were,
what the money's for.
yeah, some of the families, I know some of the families that got 50% in the past got more this year, which really we didn't expect, but it really worked well going through Karen Ann. And as far as I'm concerned, it was great. I I hope we're able to do that in the future. It worked fabulously.
I think it really helped a lot of people,
Yep.
more so than anybody anticipated.
So that's,
Thank you.
no problem. Playground?
Playground chair?
Sure. Talk about your playground and your swing sets.
So, there are swing sets.
Slides.
Slide.
Swing sets and slides. All of it. So, when we met last, you guys approved the recommendation that the rec committee put forward for this option. Has a climber, a 10-wheel, and the swings. It came to a total of $71,165, provided that we found the funding. With the money left over from the Friendship Street School Capital Fund, right?
Correct.
We have about 30,000, so
Correct.
we're looking at like 41 and change more. Max and I have been working to try to get a grant through Hannaford. They have a grant that's available. The only issue with it is that it has to be through a 501c3. So we're in talks with Little League about running it through them, because it's at their ball fields. It would directly, it's our ball fields, but they use them a lot, so it would benefit them. So they're gonna meet and vote on that to see if they'll allow it. But if so, we'll run the grant through their name and some of the funding to try to make up some of the difference of that 40,000. So the quoted amount was,
Marcus, is there a disconnect between them applying for the thing and not having it on their ball field but somewhere else? Or are you gonna have it on their ball field?
the plan
that was
was
the
to have
location.
it at the
Okay,
it's at the rec complex, but Sukforth Field is there and they use that for Little League.
okay, that makes sense.
So that's it's not their property, but it would benefit them to have it there.
Yep.
So that's, I believe well, I've only spoken with, I'm the treasurer of Little League, and then Justin's the president. We've talked and we both agree it would be a good idea. But we're gonna put it out to the rest of the board and we'll have a vote on that to make sure before.
But the
going out.
grant folks aren't gonna want it to be on their property.
I don't know that yet.
They probably don't even know that yet.
Right. So we'll figure that out. But the one Max sent me was asking for 25,000. Was that the maximum, Max?
They never gave me a maximum amount. I
Okay.
just threw that number on there.
Gotcha. So we could ask for the 41,165. Was there any timeline on that?
Rolling grant.
Rolling grant. Okay. So I did talk to Eric from Maine Recreation and Design last week. He said that that number was still good, basically through this calendar year. If we can't kind of guarantee the funding and that we're gonna continue with it and we have to order in 2024, we're looking at a 3 to 6% increase. But if we can do it before then, we're set with the number that we approved before. So that's kind of the update I have. So we're working on the grant and that, but that's all we have at the moment.
If there's a timing issue on the grant versus the price increase,
Right.
you know the grant is a sure thing?
I don't.
Well, I know, but I realize you don't. If at some point down the road it becomes clear that it's going to be a sure thing and that funding will be delayed for whatever reason,
Yep.
we could advance funding from department.
Well, we could use the funding that we have for essentially Sukforth Field.
As a repayable advance.
Right, for the
Yeah.
fields. We
Yeah.
have capital funding left over there that we could
makes
utilize and
sense.
then repay it.
Okay.
So we want to table this discussion until another month before we make that type of decision?
Probably till we at least
Find out a
hear
little bit more about
hear
the,
from Little League and see where the
Yep.
grant's headed.
Yep.
But like I say,
That's the update.
yeah, that's
We're closer than we've been.
for sure.
Mike?
I've been on the Sylvania
Yeah.
committee for, I don't know, 3-4 years now, and I never knew that there was a playground in the offing. Have we ever considered, I mean, we did, the last presentation we got, we were talking about a playground on the site.
The idea of it being by the fields is that when people come for Little League, it's the older kids, and then there's a lot of younger kids just milling around, and that playground would be useful for parents to be able to see the kids playing on the playground.
Well, I understand that, but do we need two? I guess that's the question, and is our next presentation Monday? It's not Monday, is it? It's, when is the first Monday in October?
That's
It's next
week.
Monday.
Yep, next
Yeah.
week is Sylvania.
Is next Monday, are we gonna be talking about a
You
playground at that
probably
session
would be
too?
too, because you're gonna have activities there that would also lend yourself to a,
Right now
probably
we
to a
have,
playground.
right now we have no public playgrounds in town.
Understood, but are we now talking about two?
I don't know. We've been talking about this one since last spring. I don't know when the playground got added to the Sylvania one. I know it wasn't in that first design I sent. but know
Again,
there
I
were a few
think
since then.
the design for Sylvania is phased, and if we decide that we don't need it, I don't think wherever we put it, it would be, it doesn't have to occur if people feel like it's overkill to have two.
I just wish that I had known about it earlier, that's all.
Well, and then the other thing I sort of add to that Sylvania part is that with Sylvania, the long-term plan I'd have for when we want to implement the recreation plan there is we could apply for land water conservation fund, which would get a lot more done. And that can be the part, if we wanted to put a playground there, that would be an eligible item to put there as well. But that's further down the line, and once we're in compliance, which is one of the topics later on with this agenda, actually, so. It's possible it could be there, but that would have to be a little further down the line if we want to go with recreation, whereas this, it's a bit of a
It's
different
immediate,
topic.
it's more immediate.
It's immediate, it's a place we have a place to put it.
It's a spring.
it'd be useful.
We're looking at,
It could be there in the
could be
spring.
there in the spring.
Yeah,
Bob?
the other thing is though that, the Sylvania playground wouldn't necessarily have to cater to a younger segment of kids. It could be something a little more elevated and challenging.
Well, we were
for
talking
older
about
kids.
stuff for really little kids, like a wading pool and things like that, which is, that, I suppose.
Splash pad.
This
Pardon me?
playground
It was a
is-
splash pad, not a
Splash
pool.
pad, yeah.
Splash
Yeah,
pad.
yeah.
This playground is technically rated for 5 to 12-year-olds. Talking with the playground builders, they said it's more like 3.5, 4 to 9. There are some stuff that little kids can get on with parental help, but building something that was for in that 2 to 5 range doesn't get as much use. So that's what they if they were just going to build one to go with this one. So that's what we decided, I think, back in May or so. What's that?
Anything else on the rec department?
Your 10 minutes turned into 35.
Thank you very much, Marcus.
Now you're fine.
You did a great job, by the way.
It looks like you're busy.
Did you say there's more on Foster Field or the compliance later?
You have the Buckland appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm aware of. Public hearing, none. Adjustments to the agenda. There are none. Citizens' comments. Any comments from the citizens?
Looking at me?
You're the only citizen in here.
Got nothing to say. I told Bob Butler I wouldn't say anything for 2 days.
Select board comments.
Today is number 2.
I guess I'll start. I've got a bunch of stuff. I got a comment from a citizen on the North Noblesboro Road to thank the Public Works for their efforts up there and putting the culverts in and prepping and working on ditching and all that stuff. And they were very happy with the culverts that were put in.
I got a compliment about that too. Several, actually.
I did too.
Yesterday or Sunday, I attended as Bob did too, I'm probably stealing some of Bob's thunder, the Historical Society program. Chief Lash did a great presentation outlining the history of the Waldeboro Police Department. And I think those that were there certainly enjoyed it,
And
learned a lot.
YouTube Live worked really well, Billy.
It kept cutting out though, so.
Some of it was, but
For some reason, that was a bad day. I kept losing reception.
but it was good.
Yeah, he did
He
a
did a
really
nice
good job.
job.
On September 7th, I personally attended the school board meeting. Although it was a very short meeting, it was interesting to listen to and to see how these meetings are conducted. I would highly encourage anyone to attend these school board meetings, if nothing else, just to see what's happening, especially what's coming up here in the next month or two. The next school board meeting, which I'll be there on October 5th at the high school at 7 p.m. Heard a lot of interesting, great comments about this past weekend. If someone saw a lot of activity in town, the community, and you've got an email for it.
I have an email to read about that.
You want to read that?
Do you want me to read it right now?
Read it right now. That's part of my comments, yeah.
This is from Rebecca Waddell. I was planning to come to the select board meeting, but something else came up, so I just wanted to give a quick report on the Welcome Fall Waldeboro Community Yard Sale. The Waldeboro Community Yard Sale was a success. There were 44 addresses that made it onto the printed map and 48 on the digital map the morning of the sale. Several of these were multifamily or groups, so probably 50 to 60 sellers around town. I did the online organization while Pam Jameson, our town clerk, did the face-to-face information collection and handing out signs at the town office. The feedback about the event has been mostly positive. Sellers having more customers, customers having more places to stop and shop, people catching up with neighbors. It appears to be something that reached a lot of people for very little investment, $85, and downtown was really bustling Saturday morning. We have been asked to do it again. I feel like this was a community effort with so many people taking part. We incorporated suggestions from residents on including a spreadsheet of what sellers were offering and where to put the notice so more people would know it was happening. The only criticism they received was that it overlapped with the half marathon, which could be a safety issue. And they knew the marathon was happening, but didn't realize that the racers went through downtown. I went to thank the community for really coming out to support the event and give special thanks to Bill Maxwell, Jessica Pooley, and all the fabulous people who make good things run. I was thrilled to see East 40, Atlantic Storage, Word of Life Church, and the town Republicans joining in. Sincerely, Rebecca Waddell. And I just wanted to say, too, there were yard sales that weren't on the list that popped up because there were other yard sales. So it was really neat.
Yeah, I came in and out of town 2 or 3 times on Saturday and couldn't believe the people, the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It was good to see. It was a nice day. Got people outside, and that's all my comments. Bob?
I just have one comment to make. I've got a bug in my ear about the electronic sign out in front.
The parts have been ordered.
Great, okay.
The parts have been ordered, and our trusted Public Works Department mechanics are going to install the new part.
Is it a timeline on the parts? I mean, are they difficult to get hold of these
So
days? knowing-
part of the difficulty originally was that the people who put up the sign no longer service signs. And then they've at least ordered the parts for us to ensure that we're getting the right parts, because when parts were researched for, and then there was some discussion about, do we wait till after winter because something could happen to it over winter, but we are replacing it.
All you can do is try.
We're trying. So when the part gets here, the town mechanics will be on there trying their best to replace it. Luckily, we have a bucket truck and people who are good with electronics. We just, part of it was finding somebody. We did not realize that they did not do the, I can't speak to that. It was not this, I did not order that sign. That came before, that was ordered before I came. But Bert Kendall, I guess, didn't know that they didn't service the signs too. They install them, they just don't service them.
I just
my
want to have one more thing to add. The Great Art for Great Reads auction was a huge success. We met our goal, exceeded it actually. And what I found really surprising this year was the number of people who are not permanent residents in Waldeboro or who live outside of town. We had people from Yarmouth making bids on this thing. People from Washington State, from Oregon. I mean, it had a different flavor about it this year. I hope we're able to keep up that kind of momentum. Because it's a great thing for the library, but it's also a great thing for the artist community. They also benefit from this event, not just the library. So I want to thank everybody who participated, and we're looking forward to next year.
Mike?
Yeah, I just have one thing. Julie, you got quotations from Constellation New Energy for
I did.
electricity. And as I recall, it was around 11.2 cents per kilowatt
Correct.
hour. And we could sign up for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. So the way this works is that's a daily price. And usually when you contract one of these agencies, you set a date and you set limits. And the limit might be, if it goes below 11.2, we want you to strike at that price, or if it goes above 11.7, you just strike at that price to limit your risk. And that's on a date certain. So this board has to pick a time to set the price, like a drop dead date. We have to set the low and the high strike points, and we have to select the term. Now, at the Waldoboro Utility District, we let it float for a while, and then Gordon and I set a time. So there's no real immediate need. If you're willing to wait, it may go down, it may go up, you just don't know. But I would say, let's set a date for, I suppose I should formulate this apart as a question. Okay. I propose that we set October 1st as the date to lock in prices with whatever it is between the low limit of 11 cents per kilowatt hour and 11.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And the term is up to the board. I have no particular preference. The utility district selected 2 years.
I'd second that motion, if that's what you're,
Yes.
what you're done. I'd second the motion, and then ask a question. Do we know what Constellation's source of electricity, is it a natural gas? Are they burning natural gas? Are they getting it from solar panels? Do we know where they get their power from?
I believe they own natural gas-fired combined cycle plants.
So if the prices of natural gas go through the ceiling, our rates are gonna be affected?
No, once we hit the strike price, for whatever period we pick, that's it. They're obligated, and they will go out and they'll hedge their gas prices.
Okay, so they'll contract.
They hedge their gas prices.
I don't know.
I
I don't know, but I can always ask.
Well, we got a motion, a second, any discussion? This is the first I've heard of it, so I'm just, did you
No,
first
It
one.
was in my my manager's report that we were getting the prices back. This is the pricing that we received.
That we sent today?
No, this was a couple weeks ago. We got the prices of, for 13 months, we're at 11.3 cents. And this couldn't start till, well, October 23rd to November. It would be October 2023 to November of 2024. For 13 months would be 11.3 cents. For, well, 25 months would be 11.6 cents. For 37 months, 11.6 cents. And for 49 months, 11.5 cents. And I can send this out if you guys aren't comfortable, if you want to see the whole, that literally is what I was sent. And that would be the fixed price.
And it has to be, and it's before October 23rd, you said?
It says October 2023 to November 2024.
Oh, okay.
So it's either 13,
October 1st.
25, 37, or 49 months.
Well, that's their quote, and that quote changes daily, maybe even hourly.
This was pricing as of 9/14/2023,
So,
It's like locking into an interest rate. when you
Pretty
do a
much.
mortgage.
or into a fuel price.
exactly,
Yeah.
yes. And it's a no-brainer compared to the standard offer. Constellation is a reputable entity. There are brokers that play the market, but this is a real entity that has generating capacity. And again,
And this is through Maine Power Options, which is also connected somehow through the Maine Bond Bank for municipalities.
Where are they generating their power, do we know? Is it in New England, is it in Canada?
I don't know where it is. I don't know enough about them. I'm
And
sure you
this is
could.
just for
You send that
electricity.
to us.
This is just for the supply portion of the bill, not the T&D. So anyway.
But I didn't have the numbers then, John.
Yeah, just.
Okay.
I will send this right now to you.
But we also have to decide the term, 1, 2, 3, or 4 years.
Do we have to decide on a level of consumption, or is it, is there a minimum we have to purchase?
No,
Okay.
I think I just sent it to your Public Works one.
it's not like a put or pay contract, no. It's whatever you use.
I can also have somebody come down and do a presentation on it if you would like. Sure, they would come.
But we don't miss the boat if we don't act on it.
We're not
so-
missing the boat, we can sign up anytime.
I'd like to see some more information, read up on this a little bit more.
I would too.
I'd love a
It's-
presentation if that's amenable to everybody.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
I mean, they honestly, they just took what they, what I sent them, and then they just gave me pricing based on that.
So presumably, this would cover what we're not producing with our solar panels? The difference
Correct.
between what we're using and what we don't produce?
Now, the only one facility that we have that doesn't use solar electricity is the garage.
Right.
And we got pricing for all of our,
Everything, including the
All of our
water
sites.
department.
And the sewer
Correct.
district as well?
No, the sewer district is
just
a
the water.
different entity.
sewer's different. If there were months in which we were transformed from a small general services account, and I think it may have been the town garage. And we used so much electricity, and during that 1 month, we were actually bumped up into medium general services rate. Yeah, and it makes no sense for us to get electricity for those sites that never exceed that. But I believe that would be applicable to if the town garage should use more electricity than they typically do.
Yep.
And I think it's either 20 or 25 kilowatts is the cutoff. So, yes, we're looking at the water company as the prime user of this, but if any of our sites should use more than 20 kilowatts, then we would get that rate for that electricity too. Instead of the standard offer, which right now is 16.6, so we'll save literally a nickel per kilowatt hour.
20-30%?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good savings.
So the motion on the floor.
I would. Do you mind modifying your motion to just be subject to having a conversation with Consolidated about their program?
Constellation.
Constellation.
Sorry. That way
Why don't we
we've
do
got
that,
it
why don't I withdraw the motion, if that's possible?
Yep.
We'll withdraw the motion, and Julie, if you could arrange to have
I
Constellation
will
come
try to
in.
have that on the 10th.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay,
Okay.
Budget
motion-
committee can,
Huh?
budget committee can listen to the
Yeah, so
presentation.
we'll do it on the 10th. Good, good, because I gotta study up on it.
Yeah.
Is that it, Mike?
That's it, that was enough. Electricity is
I
a
don't have
very
any-
complicated
anything this week.
topic.
You covered pretty much everything,
Thank
John.
you for doing that.
Managers report.
I just want to remind you that on October 10th, we have a joint meeting with the Budget Committee and the Select Board. And what we would like to do is have Chief Booker come in and update on where the ambulance his, give you an update on when that might be arriving, update you on our staffing like he normally does. Also, I was going to invite Chief Smeltzer to give you an update on some of the ideas that was what actions he's taken since some of the ideas the budget committee gave him, and see where, what suggestions he took and implemented. And also just to provide them with information, I've been asked by several residents about the actual amortization for the $81 million bond for the school. And I'm assuming that I can use the bond bank's numbers because they recently had a bond sale if they're willing to sell that. We're going to have to talk about it because it does affect our ability to borrow funds. If the school, that affects our borrowing power too. And I just want to make sure that the budget committee understands that and review our capital plan to see what our impacts would also have. So I thought it would be a good time to get all together. Plus, we have a couple new members on the committee that haven't met our other members, so I thought it would be a nice time to start. We normally have a meeting, September, October. That also brings up the fact that we have 2 vacancies that were left by Sir Blodgett and Sir Thayer here. Scott Martin, who sat on the budget committee and filled an unexpired term last year, is willing to serve this year coming up for the budget committee. So if you could make a motion to appoint him tonight, that would be lovely.
I'd move to appoint Scott Martin to the budget committee.
Motion to appoint Scott, a second? Anyone
I'll second.
Any discussion on Scott? All in favor?
So we have one more vacancy.
We have one more vacancy.
Golly, we got a guy sitting in the room who spent a lot of time on the budget committee. No?
My decision will be made at the end of the week. That's what I reported to your town manager.
Just know we love you, Bill.
Lodge it to be like you did.
And I already read the.
That's gonna be a busy meeting on the 10th.
The 10th won't be bad. It's the 24th that's going to be rough. We have a lot on the 24th. A lot.
Well, we got the budget committee coming in here to talk about
And the Constellation.
And
The
the Constellation.
Constellation is going to be a
and
very
the fire
short.
chief and
But that's all part of the budget
they're
committee.
gonna be briefing.
Brief.
Yeah, brief.
Brief.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a long drawn out. It's just a typical update.
Okay.
I would say it's going to be an hour and a half meeting.
Okay.
But Constellation, they could just send us maybe also Constellation may just have a PowerPoint they could send us and I can distribute it all to the select board, so.
Okay.
I will chat with them tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, the 24th is a long meeting. We got the auditors, we've got the first, we've got public hearing. It's gonna be fun. We have a public hearing, right?
For the GA.
For the, yeah, just.
Is that all you have for your report?
I think it's enough.
Consent calendar. Do I have a
I move we approve the consent calendar.
motion to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Let's see, 9.3, correspondence.
We received a letter from Ms. Lillian Dolph, and this was to the select board regarding SAD 40 funding. Do you want me to read this letter and the next letter, or just give you a synopsis?
Synopsis would be fine.
Basically just expressing her disappointment in the article at the Lincoln County News regarding our meeting with the officials of SAD 40, and asked that you consider supporting the project, I would say. She felt that the the paper stated, about accreditation that didn't pass because of buildings, and she was wondering why you would not be in favor of fixing them up so that they would be accredited. And she wishes, I think she wanted you to respond, and I know that several of you did, so.
Yeah, Mike and I wrote to her.
I
Yes,
believe several of you did, I think.
Yeah, and
yeah.
she did respond, I thought very nicely.
I spoke to her, I actually called her and had a conversation with her.
Yeah, I think she acknowledged our concerns and hopes that we can get it on track.
Yeah, I also had a conversation with a family member, one of our family members, some correspondence.
So, we had that, and then we also received a letter from Steve Burns, who is not a resident, but was driving on Route 1 during an accident and wanted to say what a wonderful job the Waldoboro Fire Department did of detouring when Route 1 was closed for an extended period of time, which I thought was nice.
Oh,
Always nice to
yes.
hear compliments.
Is that all you have for correspondence?
That's all I have for correspondence.
9.4, quick claim deeds or discharges is none. 10, new business, 10.1, engagement letter from Buckland Appraisals.
And this is a Maximilian deal, but this is for the land appraisal that's needed in order to swap the Little League field, and the tennis courts at A.D. Gray. And this is the Yellow Book appraisal. Bob pointed out that in the letter, it says map 10 lot 28, it should be map U10 lot 28.
Yes.
And it says Keller's Corner, it should be Kaler's Corner. But other than that,
And he's charging, what, $4,500 for a Yellow Book
Yes.
appraisal? That's pretty darn reasonable.
I will tell you, this is the same person that we were going to use when we were doing the Yellow Book appraisal for the property next to Pine Street Landing. He was very reasonable, very nice guy.
And just to add on to this, Fred's actually up in Brewster County right now, doing a very similar Yellow Book appraisal for a land water conservation conversion, so he's very well aware of what to do
Right.
for this process, and he's already recommended some people to do the follow-up appraisal that's gonna be required as well, that he's worked well with.
I move we authorize our town manager to sign the letter from Buckland Appraisal. The offer.
Any second?
1 second.
More discussion? All in favor?
I was glad he was still in business.
Old business. No got any old business? None? Agenda items for the next meeting?
None.
No more.
All right, just so I understand, what, we're gonna have at the next meeting,
A joint budget,
a joint budget
And
and
select
select
board
board
meeting.
meeting, and we're gonna have the guy come in from your electric company.
well,
And
or a PowerPoint,
Right,
depending.
okay, or a PowerPoint, and then on the second meeting in October.
No, on that, the 10th, we're also gonna have a briefing from the fire chief
That's right.
and EMS,
And that's part of the budget.
part of the budget cycle.
Select board committee meeting.
All right, I did hear some sense of relief that at the second meeting in October, we're gonna hear from the first about our investment policy
And the auditors.
and the audit. Whoa.
We're gonna have, the 24th got
All
heavy.
right, are we gonna sit down with Chip at some point, or is that?
No.
There's enough oil.
We had a meeting of the minds this
Okay,
morning at
good.
9:30. It's
Fine.
in my town manager's report.
Yep. Thank you.
Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Adjourn. Thank you, folks.
Are we off, Max?
We are off.